Welcome back to the deep dive. Today we're diving into something a little different.
Oh,
Yeah, we're taking a look at this English language learning podcast called English Podcast Zone.
interesting.
Yeah, and it's really fascinating. They managed to weave this financial vocabulary into this really funny dialogue.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, it's like a clever way to learn, you know, to make it engaging.
Yeah, for sure.
So the dialogue, it centers around this guy named Charlie who's in a lot of debt, and he goes to this surprising source for help.
Okay,
But before we get into all that, let's break down some of the key terms from the lesson.
sounds good.
So we've got recession, broke, loan, mortgage, and tuition,
Right. Those are all words that we hear pretty often these days.
especially with, the whole economic climate of 2025.
Exactly. It's like understanding those concepts is super important for anyone trying to like navigate the financial world.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So the podcast defines recession as a period of economic decline. And we see things like job losses, reduced spending, and like plummeting stock prices.
Yep.
It's a reality that hits close to home for a lot of people.
Tim, that's why they highlight the term broke, right?
Mm-hmm.
It emphasizes that like personal impact of a recession. It's that feeling of having no money, struggling to make ends meet.
Yeah.
Really tough.
And the dialogue, it paints this vivid picture of this financial strain.
Okay.
So Charlie is dealing with credit card bills, car payments, a mortgage.
And on top of all that, he's got tuition bills for his son's college education.
Oh,
It's like, it really illustrates how all these like different financial pressures can just converge at the same time.
yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
So Charlie's desperate, and he turns to this unlikely figure for help,
Who's that?
Mr. Corleone.
Mr. Corleone.
Yeah, now remember, this is an English lesson with a comedic twist.
Okay. Uh-huh.
So the interesting thing here is that Mr. Corleone, someone who we typically associate with like wealth and power,
Right. Wow.
he's also facing financial hardship.
Oh,
He reveals that he's broke, too.
no way.
Yeah, it totally subverts our expectations.
I mean, you don't expect someone like Mr. Corleone to be struggling financially.
Exactly.
Huh.
And the dialogue uses the phrase, hit me pretty hard, to describe how the recession has impacted both Charlie and Mr. Corleone.
Oh, that's a good one.
Yeah, it's kind of a play on words.
Right.
It highlights how widespread this economic downturn is. It's affecting people from all walks of life.
Yeah, no one is immune to it.
And the humor comes from this unexpected twist.
Yeah, totally.
Like, it just underscores that even those who seem immune to financial struggles, they can still be vulnerable during a recession.
True. It's like this reminder that economic forces can really impact anyone.
For sure.
Yeah.
So beyond vocabulary, the podcast highlights these 3 fluency builder phrases.
Okay, what are they?
So we've got, what can I do for you?
Okay.
I'm really sorry to trouble you.
Mm-hmm.
And on top of all that,
Gotcha.
and these phrases are super valuable for everyday English conversations.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Like, mastering them can really help you sound more natural and fluent.
Which is so important for communication.
Exactly. And they give examples of how to use these phrases in different contexts,
Mm-hmm.
both formally and informally.
Like what?
Like, can I trouble you for a pen? Or,
Oh.
on top of all that, I won the lottery.
Yeah.
Okay, maybe not the lottery part,
Right.
but
Yeah.
you get the idea.
I get it. Yeah, it's all about incorporating those like idiomatic expressions
Exactly.
to improve your conversational skills.
Right.
Yeah, cool.
So now the podcast also dives into some interesting cultural insights.
Oh, like what?
So it points out these contrasting attitudes towards debt in North America and Europe.
Interesting.
Yeah, they explain how North America really emphasizes credit history.
Right. It's almost expected to be in debt
Yeah,
just to like build that credit.
yeah. And then that allows you to access loans for things like mortgages and cars.
Mm-hmm.
They even mention how universities bombard students with credit card offers.
Oh, yeah, that's true.
It's a totally different mindset compared to Europe.
So what's it like in Europe?
Well, in Europe, they tend to have a more cautious approach to debt. Yeah. They use Switzerland as an example where you need to have more money in your account than your credit card limit.
Wow.
So it really reflects a more conservative financial culture.
Yeah, for sure.
And it makes you think about how these different attitudes might influence financial decisions and policies, on a larger scale.
Absolutely. It raises questions about the implications of these contrasting viewpoints on like the global economy.
Mm-hmm.
It's definitely something to consider as we like delve deeper into these topics.
Now let's shift our focus to the heart of this English lesson, the dialogue itself.
Okay.
We're going to unpack the conversation between Charlie and Mr. Corleone.
Right.
and explore how it uses language to convey meaning, humor, and even like social dynamics.
Sounds good. It's a great example of how simple dialogue can be packed with insights.
Totally, both linguistic and cultural.
Yeah.
So let's dive into the scene where Charlie approaches Mr. Corleone's office.
All right, let's do it. So the dialogue, it starts with Charlie kind of nervously saying, "I'm here to see Mr. Corleone." And, that highlights this power dynamic right from the start.
Right.
Charlie's the one needing help.
Yeah.
And Mr. Corleone, he represents that potential solution.
It sets the scene for a conversation where Charlie's seeking a favor
Exactly.
and Mr. Corleone holds a certain authority.
Yeah, and then we have Mr. Corleone's assistant
Right.
directing Charlie with a simple, "Right this way, sir."
Yeah.
It's like a small detail,
Mm-hmm.
but it reinforces that image of Mr. Corleone as this powerful figure.
Yeah.
Everything's very controlled and efficient, in his world.
Yeah, it creates that sense of anticipation
Right.
leading up to the actual encounter
Yeah.
between Charlie and Mr. Corleone.
Exactly. Now, the tone shifts when Mr. Corleone greets Charlie.
Okay.
He says, "What can I do for you, Charlie?"
Hmm.
And it sounds like a genuine offer of help,
Right.
but there's also this subtle undertone.
Oh.
Yeah, like a sense of knowing what Charlie needs.
Like he's aware of the favor Charlie's about to ask.
Precisely.
Yeah, reminding us of their existing relationship.
And Charlie, understanding this dynamic, responds with, "I'm really sorry to trouble you, but I need your help."
It's a classic way of expressing humility
Yeah.
while also appealing to their connection.
It's so fascinating how language is used to navigate these, social dynamics.
I know, it's like Charlie is trying to be respectful while conveying the urgency of his situation.
Exactly. And then the dialogue unfolds with Charlie describing his financial struggles.
Right.
He uses terms like recession, debt, mortgage, even tuition.
It's like he's overwhelmed by these burdens.
Yeah, and it's such a relatable situation for a lot of people.
Oh, totally.
Especially during times of, economic hardship.
Mm-hmm.
The weight of those financial terms becomes very real in Charlie's story.
Yeah.
And then comes the twist. Mr. Corleone, instead of offering a solution, he reveals.
What's that?
He says, "I'm broke too."
Whoa.
It's not what we expect at all.
No, you expect a powerful figure like Mr. Corleone to be immune to financial troubles.
It injects humor into a serious situation,
It does.
but it also highlights just how widespread the impact of the recession is.
Yeah. Like no one is truly safe from these economic forces.
It's a really clever way to use humor to convey a deeper message,
Yeah.
The recession, it's leveled the playing field,
Mm-hmm.
and even those at the top are feeling the effects.
And this unexpected revelation, it kind of shifts the power dynamic too.
Oh, how so?
With Charlie's request for help, it loses its leverage.
Right, because Mr. Corleone is in the same boat.
Exactly.
It's a subtle but significant change.
Yeah, it really underscores how circumstances can change relationships and power structures.
For sure. So the scene ends with Mr. Corleone dismissing Charlie.
Oh,
He says, "Go on, get out of here."
ouch.
But it's a reminder that despite their shared struggles,
Yeah,
Mr. Corleone still holds a position of authority.
right.
It brings us back to that core message of the English lesson,
Which is
to be mindful of finances and avoid unnecessary debt.
right. And this message, it resonates even more strongly in the context of Charlie's predicament.
Absolutely. Now, before we wrap up our analysis of the dialogue, let's circle back to those contrasting cultural views on debt.
Yeah, the ones that the podcast touched upon
Right, we were talking about the emphasis on credit history in North America.
versus the more cautious approach in Europe.
Yeah, it's a crucial point that raises questions about the implications of these different mindsets.
Mm.
So in North America, building credit, it's seen as essential.
Right, almost like a rite of passage into adulthood.
Exactly. It allows you to access loans for major purchases like homes and cars.
But it also comes with the risk of accumulating debt.
True, especially if it's not managed responsibly.
The easy availability of credit.
Yeah,
It can be a double-edged sword.
it is. It enables opportunities, but also creates potential pitfalls.
And on the other hand, the European approach with its emphasis on saving and avoiding debt,
Right.
it might seem more prudent.
It definitely encourages financial responsibility,
Yeah.
but it can also make it challenging for people to access certain opportunities.
True, especially if they don't have significant savings up front.
Right.
So there are pros and cons to both systems.
Yeah, it's not about one being inherently better than the other.
Right.
It's about understanding the nuances of each approach
Mm-hmm.
and how they impact individual financial decisions and the overall economy.
It's also fascinating to consider how historical and societal factors have shaped these different attitudes towards debt.
Oh, absolutely. Like
Yeah.
maybe the cultural emphasis on individualism and self-reliance in North America,
Yeah.
it contributes to a greater acceptance of credit and personal responsibility for managing debt.
Whereas in Europe, with its longer history and often stronger social safety nets,
Right.
there might be less of an imperative to rely on credit for financial advancement.
These cultural differences, they're definitely worth exploring further.
Yeah.
They provide valuable insights into how societies approach financial matters.
Now, shifting gears a bit, let's delve into the fluency builder phrases that the podcast highlighted.
Those are good.
Yeah, these are expressions that native English speakers use all the time, but might not be explicitly taught in, traditional language courses.
They're like the secret ingredients to sounding more natural and fluent in conversations.
Right. Let's start with, what can I do for you?
Okay.
It's a polite and versatile way to offer help or ask someone what they need.
It goes beyond just a simple, can I help you?
Yeah.
It shows genuine interest in assisting the other person.
And then we have, I'm really sorry to trouble you,
Yeah.
which is perfect for when you need to ask a favor or interrupt someone.
It's a way to acknowledge that you might be inconveniencing them,
Right.
but you still need their assistance.
Yeah, it shows consideration and politeness.
And lastly, there's on top of all that,
Mm-hmm.
which is used to emphasize or introduce additional information.
It's a great way to add more weight or impact to your statement.
They gave some amusing examples in the podcast.
Oh, yeah,
Like, I lost my job, my car broke down, and on top of all that, my dog ran away.
oh, no.
It really highlights how things can just pile up.
But as they pointed out, you can also use it in a positive way.
Right.
Like, I got a promotion, won the lottery, and on top of all that, I'm getting married.
Uh-huh. Exactly. It's all about context.
Right.
Mastering these phrases can really elevate your conversational English.
Yeah.
And make you sound more like a native speaker.
Now, as we wrap up this part of our deep dive,
Yeah.
I want to circle back to the main theme of this English lesson, money and debt.
Right. It's a topic that can feel overwhelming.
It can, especially given the complexities of the global economy.
Yeah. But this English lesson, through its humorous dialogue and cultural insights,
Mm-hmm.
it offers like a refreshing perspective, you know?
Right.
It reminds us that even amidst like financial challenges, there's always room for learning and growth.
It's about developing financial literacy,
Right.
understanding the systems at play,
Yeah.
and making informed decisions. And it's also about recognizing the cultural nuances surrounding money and debt,
Yeah.
appreciating how different societies approach these concepts.
The podcast encourages us to like move beyond these simplistic notions of good versus bad
Right.
when it comes to debt, you know? It's about recognizing the complexities,
Yeah.
the trade-offs and the diverse perspectives that shape financial practices around the world.
It's a valuable lesson that extends far beyond just language learning.
It does.
It equips us with a broader understanding of the global financial landscape.
And it empowers us to engage in more meaningful conversations about money debt and like the economic forces that shape our lives.
So as you continue your English language journey, remember that every lesson, every dialogue,
Yeah.
it has the potential to unlock new insights and perspectives.
Stay curious, keep exploring, and keep diving deep.
That's a wrap on our deep dive into the world of money and debt.
Through the lens of an English language learning podcast.
Exactly. We've explored vocabulary cultural contrasts,
Practical language tips.
even dissected a humorous dialogue.
We hope you've gained a deeper appreciation for the power of language
Yeah.
and its ability to illuminate complex topics like finance and economics,
And remember, whether you're navigating the stock market, negotiating a loan,
or simply ordering a coffee in a foreign country.
effective communication is key.
Keep learning, keep practicing, and keep those conversations flowing.
Until next time, stay curious.